Hello and welcome. My name is Katie Tremulis. I am the owner of Notary SWFL, and today I have Nicole Israel here. She is from the law office of Nicole Israel. So thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me, Katie. So happy to be here.
Yeah. So if you could, in your own words, tell me a little bit more about what made you start this business, and then how long you've been in business.
Sure. So I started practicing law back in 2017. I was working for a big firm. I'm based out of New York City, and COVID happened, and I got pregnant with my first child. Um, and I just, between having the new baby and working at a big firm, it was very difficult for the demands of the job and the demands of being a new mom. So I decided to go out on my own. And I really did recognize the need for estate planning at that time, especially during the pandemic. And I really wanted to help families. I really wanted to help, especially new moms, or new parents in general who are having these young kids and really want to ensure that their future is protected. God forbid something were to happen to them. So I started my own firm. I'm a solo. I have some staff now, so I'm growing. But really, I do wills. I set up trusts for families, and I set up guardianship forms for families, and some powers of attorney and healthcare directives. So I kind of just cover everything protection wise, from asset protection to people protection, kids protection, and want to make sure everyone is has the peace of mind we all deserve.
Yeah, and so I reached out to you originally because I saw one of your reels that said, and I'm paraphrasing, but basically that if you have you need something in place for, even if you have a will, a guardianship for in case something, like in case the person is incapacitated, which I think is important for parents with small children. So could you expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So when you set up a will, this is a good document to have. It lists out who you want your things to go to and when you want them to go to them. A court will only look at a will after somebody dies. So in order for that will to be effective, that person who wrote it has to have died. They have to have passed away. So a lot of people list their guardians in their will,
Mhm.
but again, it's only effective once a person is gone. If, God forbid, you're incapacitated, where you're in a coma or a vegetative state, or you're just in the hospital and you can't care for your kids, whoever you put in that will as a guardian, no one's going to know. No one, a judge won't look at it, a court won't look at it. So that's why I highly recommend parents have standalone guardianship forms. So these are documents outside of the will that can be accessed if someone's incapacitated or in the hospital and can't care for their children.
Mhm.
Uh, and these could be shown to a court because they're standalone, they're on their own, where you could have long-term guardians. So these are the people. So I'm in New York. So if my long-term guardian was in California, that would, that's someone I wanted, because there's also the short-term guardians. So until my guardian in California gets to my child, I would have a standby or a short-term guardian set up as well for someone who lives much closer to me, who can get on the scene right away. Because if they don't have someone close to get on the scene, they could be taken to police custody and some traumatizing, situation. So you want both your short-term or standby guardian and that long-term guardian. And with my plans, I also provide prompts for caregiver instructions. So if something were happening to you, you could write out exactly what you want to have happen and your beliefs and your, how you want your caregiver to care for your child. So
Mhm.
it's very important to have those forms. And also, within the program, clients would receive a medical power of attorney for their minor child. So, in the event that the parent can't make medical decisions for your child, now
Mhm.
you give it to the guardian or standby guardian to have them have authority to make any urgent medical decisions for a minor child.
Okay, and so this is just something that came up also, like my background is in a little bit of finance. So then would you also, I know that it's always a case by case, But do you also think that it's a good idea to have some sort of like financial provisioning for the temporary issues or
Yes, so I'm just thinking now, like if someone were to set up a revocable trust, we would have and the trust works when you're incapacitated and after death. So you have
okay,
the guardian, the caregiver listed there, but you also have the trustee or the financial guardian.
okay.
So there's like checks and balances almost. So
Hmm.
that financial guardian or that custodian is the one who is following your trust instructions and allotting that money to the guardian to care for the child. And you
Okay.
could include stipulations and things like that as well.
Okay. That makes sense because unfortunately, and like I like talking about stuff like this, but it seems like anytime that I talk about this with like other families that have small children, it just like glazes over. And like, obviously, you think that it's important. Have you gotten a lot of feedback and people kind of seeing that this is a trend that needs to start happening for parents with young children?
Yes, I mean, and I want to just say first, it's okay not to know about most people don't, unless you're working this day to day, like you don't know about any of this stuff. It's only when the last thing you want is for something really bad to happen, and then you need someone like me to do a probate or to do some urgent guardianship situation where we're going to be in court for 3 months. Like, you want to be proactive about this. So that's why I really encourage parents to, if you don't know anything, that's why you should just call someone like me, call me, say, schedule a free consult. So, I could help advise or tailor have some guidance for you based on your family circumstances on the best strategies, you could take to protect your family. So, I know it's not a fun topic. A lot of people think it's very morbid. It's not morbid. I always say it's not about death, it's about life.
Yeah.
We're trying to give you peace of mind.
Hmm.
And then once you have your plan in place, you could stick it away and not think about it for 50 years. So,
Yeah.
it is not the most fun topic. I totally agree, but it's an important one. And you don't want to be the case where, because keep in mind, probate, if you don't have, so a will goes through probate, a trust does not, but probate, you're looking to spend about 5% of your total estate. That's coming out of your kid's inheritance. So even if you have a home for $300,000, you're spending $15,000 in probate fees when you could have set up the trust for, depending where you live, anywhere between 2 to 5,000. And it's an investment, it's said and done, and you don't have to worry about your beneficiaries spending so much time and stress during a really critical time in court, dealing with a judge and probate lawyers and hourly fees and filing and admin fees, all of that stuff. So it's more of an investment, and it's about a life,
Yeah. Well, the way that I kind of sometimes think about it, and it's like I'm taking on that brunt, like the grunt work of the not so fun stuff. So that way my family doesn't have to later on when they're probably pretty sad. So it's like, all right, I got this, I can take care of it. And then, you guys just have to read the paperwork. So as far as the notarization part, because that's my forte. So in general, do you have the beneficiaries do a notarized document basically saying that that's fine, or do you just kind of like have them named, or what's usually the best practice or protocol?
so just so every state is different, as you
Hmm.
know, with notarization. So for a will, for example, the people who need to sign is the person who drafts the will, the witnesses. In New York, we have an affidavit for those witnesses, so that has to be notarized.
Hmm.
Uh, the will itself does not have to be notarized in New York and New Jersey, but I always notarize it because it's less, in case there's something, where the court doesn't believe this is, it adds a little more authority
Yeah.
when you notarize it.
Yeah.
Beneficiaries do not have to sign wills. Executors do not have to sign wills. The person managing the estate is the executor. For guardianship forms, the the parents need to sign and have it notarized. Uh, and that's also for the standby guardianships. And the only thing, so what I also do with all my packages is I offer a power of attorney, which is
Hmm.
someone who would manage any finances if you were incapacitated or take care of the legal work,
Hmm.
and the Advanced Healthcare Directive. So in New York, the the principal, who is the one drafting it, and the agent need to have their signatures notarized for it to be valid. New Jersey does not. So again, every state is different, and you'd have to look at the rules. I'm sure on the court websites they list the rules for those documents.
Hmm.
And then for the advanced healthcare directives, it's just the person drafting the proxy, not the people they're selecting. So they have to sign, and I have them notarized as well. Just it's more authoritative. It's less there's less pushback
Yeah.
sometimes if it's notarized. So
Hmm.
yes, and I'm a notary myself, so I'm familiar. And it's just an easier signing day when I could just handle it myself and have my witnesses come in.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, exactly. I've had some cases where uh as a notary, sometimes they will ask for like the recordings of the documents or like the recording of the online session, and then it kind of buttons everything up a little bit. But yeah, I do think that doing the notarization lends a little bit more authority to this.
Yes.
Yeah. So my next question is that you obviously use social media marketing. So how have you liked that so far? Have you found it beneficial for your business?
So I've been doing the social media probably since the start of this year.
Okay.
Just this month, I had that one post that went viral, which was so exciting. I didn't think I could ever go viral, but you just don't know when it happens, and when it does,
Yeah.
it's like this is awesome.
Yeah.
And I got a lot of really helpful feedback. I got a lot of questions, and I had people scheduling consults with me through those posts. So
Hmm.
through the more recent post, as I see I'm getting more of a following and more viewership, I've seen that growing significantly. So I'm really happy with the Instagram. I do stuff on Facebook as well. I'm trying to do stuff on TikTok. I feel like I need to be more funny, or I need to like kind of create skits. And I wish I had more of like an acting or performer background, but it's just like I feel like I'm kind of lame when I try to do it.
I struggle with TikTok too because I'm like, I don't know. It just seems like everybody is. I struggle with the talking on the screen kind of situation. So then I'm like, I don't know. So I usually stick with Instagram, I think, or YouTube. I think it's a little bit easier. So.
In YouTube. And that's the other thing. Like, I'm so glad we're doing this because I do want to build. I've done a couple of YouTube videos, but I really want to build my library because
Mhm.
I want people to get to know me and have some important information really accessible, where
Yes.
they don't necessarily have to schedule a time to call and make appointments. Just here it is. This is
Mhm.
what you should know. And then it gives them more education or more background. So they go in with they're armed with some knowledge when they go in for the consult and know what questions to ask. So YouTube is incredibly important. So I am really happy you're doing this, and we're able to collaborate a bit here.
Mhm. Yeah. So yeah, thank you so much for coming on. But I do think that what you're doing as far as the social media aspect of it and like eventually for YouTube, that has been super helpful for me and my business too. And then like it's so connecting too, because I'm like, all right, now we're able to have these types of conversations. I do think that the guardianship has been, I mean, that is super important because I used to work in banking where I saw it on the opposite end, where something had happened to a person, and then there was like the family trying to get into bank accounts and they couldn't because they didn't have anything set up. And so, as the finance person, I'm like, I would love to, but the protocols aren't in place. I cannot do anything. You can't access the funds, and there's long-reaching issues if you don't get everything buttoned up prior. And so it's just I saw the downsides of it. So I'm glad that you're being so proactive about it.
Yeah, and everyone should really do that because that happens often. You go to someone passes away, they try to access their accounts to pay bills, and they can't because nothing was set up. And then they have to go through a administration or a probate, and that could take months.
Yeah.
Especially in where I am, it takes around a year. Like it takes a long time.
Yeah.
So it's really good to be proactive, and have that done. But as you mentioned, like trying to spread that word through social media and things like Instagram. Like I'm really trying, and I have a lot of, people may, there may be mixed feelings on this. I do have my kids in a lot of those videos, but I think it helps people relate, because we're moms and we have little children to take care of when we're trying to work, and
Yeah.
it's a hard life sometimes. And then have sometimes if you have a husband or a partner, it's like, or sometimes the other kid, like it's all, it's always something, is trying to juggle so many things at once. So. I just want people to know they're not alone. I'm a resource if they need me, and I'm happy to answer any questions at any time that I can.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I also kind of started on my own business as soon as I became a mom. I was like, all right, well, there was like some things happening. I was like, I am going to start my own business because there's more flexibility in working for yourself. So how have you liked being in a solo practice versus, I guess, working with a
Working at
firm?
a firm,
Yeah.
it was the best decision I ever made.
Okay.
I regret I didn't do this sooner. And I was never one to, and just, in all honesty, I don't, I kind of didn't like being managed. Like I was very much, I just don't like this. I don't like people telling me what to do. I'm like, I'm probably in the wrong business. Like I just really, it wasn't for me. So, I mean, COVID was very tragic, but in some ways it was a blessing in other ways, where it really forced me to start my business and, and giving me that flexibility to create my own time. And the one thing with estate planning, so I do have to make court appearances, not frequently, but I could plan my own schedule. I'm not dealing with a lot of court deadlines or adversaries. Like I don't like fighting.
Oh,
I don't want to fight with another
yeah.
attorney. And some lawyers really like litigation and that
Aspect of
um
it.
that aspect. Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm not that lawyer. I like picking my clients,
Mhm.
sitting down calmly, having a discussion, especially for those who are proactive. It's really beneficial for I think both of us because we're learning about each other, and every client I have, I'm learning something a little new and how I could better help them.
Yeah.
Um, so that I really enjoy having my own practice. There's no question. I really also enjoy I didn't know I'd like this, but I like the business aspect of it too. So you said you're in finance. I'm like, I like kind of seeing, the marketing part, like having this whole Instagram thing and, marketing and sales. A lot of it is business is marketing and sales, and that's a whole new arena for me. So it's interesting learning new things other than the law. So I have enjoyed this a lot.
Yeah. Well, that was like another thing because when I first started out, I was like, okay, I'm going to be sitting in front of a computer and doing the notarizations. And then it's like, okay, that's like maybe 5% of what I do really, like, not really, but as a business owner, I'm like, I've had to learn so many different things that it's slogging through some of the hard work, but then the benefits are like getting to make your own schedule and then starting to work with a team and everything like that. And so, yeah, but some of that is like you have to slog through some of the harder stuff to make it into a business that you have more flexibility for your family. And that's kind of what goes through my head where I'm like, I don't want to do this. I'm like, all right, this is it's gonna help my family. This is fine. So yeah, but it's yeah, some of that.
Yes. Like anytime like there's a hurdle or like, oh, I don't want to do it. But yeah, I'm like, oh, my kids, I have to do it.
Exactly.
Like,
I'm the
okay,
same.
get to it.
I'm the same way. I'm like, all right, it's gonna be so helpful. Yeah, but the next question that I have, and I'm putting you on a little bit of a spotlight, but that's fine. Do you use online notarization? Have you used that yet?
So no, I am licensed to do online notarization. The thing with trusts and wills is in New York and New Jersey right now, we're not allowed to do
Uh,
online notarization.
okay.
So they're like behind the times. I know in some states you can do that, but
Mhm.
I wish
Yeah.
like the legislature would change this, but I have to do everything with wet ink also.
Yeah.
So no, I can't do any e-signing, and I have to do
Oh,
a live notarization. So, um, and I don't want to jeopardize someone's
yeah.
documents. So I just like do that until hopefully they get out of their ancient ways and change this. But in New York and New Jersey, we have to do wet
What
signatures, wet
yours?
notaries.
Okay. That's interesting. So, I'm sure
For these
eventually,
documents, so I don't want to just, for the other documents you
yeah,
can. So I
yeah.
believe like
General
other
notary work,
contracts
yeah,
and things.
yeah. It's so general notary work, there's usually not as much red tape. So sometimes there is red tape with the real estate documents, but that's usually mandated by the underwriter rather than the law. But I mean, as a disclaimer, like everyone listening, do your own due diligence and check it out yourself. So, yeah, but once it does come through, just reach out to me and then we can talk about like
I
how,
would love to.
yeah,
That would like make life so much easier. Because a lot of people like to do, I do a lot of meetings virtually or remotely.
yeah,
And then once that's the only thing where I would have, and I don't mind physically meeting a client, of course, I'm happy to do it. But
yeah,
if people didn't want to meet and they want to do things remotely, that would be such a time saver to just
yes.
have everything done online one
Yeah.
day.
Yes, yeah, I'm sure. California is so they have until 2030 to be able to do the in-person notarizations for the notaries over there because I do nationwide, so I kind of keep track of what's going on in other places.
Oh,
But
okay,
yeah,
okay. Oh,
yeah,
that's good to know. All
yeah,
right.
yeah. So, well, I wanted to thank you so much for coming on the channel. So, what is a good way for people to find you in case they have any other questions or they'd like to work with you directly?
Sure, absolutely. So the best way is to go to my website, nicoleisraellaw.com. You can also, I'll just give you my email. You could also email me. It's nisrael, like the country, so NISRAEL at nicoleisraellaw.com. And I'm happy to schedule appointments or answer any questions that anyone has.
Perfect. Thank you so much.